Sorry, Jeff.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Raleigh Board of Selectmen meeting for February the 10th, 2014. First on the agenda is to call the meeting to order. Remind everybody that this meeting is being audio and digitally recorded. And first on the agenda, our second agenda, is the Pledge of Allegiance. Stu Delzell's in the audience tonight. Could you lead us in the pledge, Stu?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Stu. Next on the agenda is Chairman's comments. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chairman Murray.
You have any comments tonight? No? Yes? You have comments tonight?
No, the only thing I was going to talk about was that groundhog that gave us the bum information last week.
Okay. I'll cut mine short so you
No.
can do that. Actually, what I wanted to report to the board tonight is, if you remember back a few months ago, we approved a Eagle Scout project that was for the bat houses
Oh, yes.
that Michael Delzell was going to do the project and place the bat houses up in the recreation fields to catch mosquitoes.
Right.
The bats like to eat mosquitoes. So, and I got a call Saturday morning, and it was invited down to Stu Delzell's garage, and they had a nice group of kids there putting those bat houses together. It was really, really interesting to watch them work. And the adults were there supervising them, and they had some older scouts helping the younger scouts line up the pieces of wood and putting the nails in and drilling the holes. And it was really quite a project. I mean, I was really impressed with the way that came together and what they were doing with it. It's going to be a super project. It really is. So I just wanted to bring that report into you guys and let you know that it's finally coming together, and it's probably going to be ready for this spring. So
That's great.
Awesome.
that'll be
Very good.
fantastic.
If you live in Raleigh and you're familiar with our mosquitoes,
Anything
anything to
will
help us
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Stu, tell your grandson and all the other scouts, thank you. And thank you
Yes.
for opening up your garage, Stu, so the kids can work
It
in
was
there.
nice and warm in there and everything. It was great.
I had more fun than the kids did, just watching.
Yeah, it
I
was
had
really.
a ball. They were all
That
well
was-
behaved and they all helped one another.
they did a
Nothing
great
like
job.
scouting.
Yep.
Scouts are great. Great organization. Okay, moving on. We have an appointment this evening at 7:15. Just remind everybody, in 1 minute, we will go into citizen query between 7:05 and 7:15. See, if it's not written down, I go blank. So that will start in 1 minute. And we have an appointment with the Water Board of Commissioners, and that is at 7:15. And we have 7:30, we have Ron Keefe coming in, and Norm Brown from Bayside Engineering to discuss Central Street Highway Project. So, let's, again, we're entering citizen query. Any queries? Okay. Just remind everybody that we are being audio and digitally recorded. So, let's go to old business. And first on the old business is the 375th update. And with that, I'm going to turn to Joe Perry, Selectman Perry, and you give us the update.
Thank you. We are going ahead with our plans. We will be getting, we have a letter out for almost ready to be printed to request donations to the Raleigh 375 anniversary. I remind everybody that it will be in September. September 4th is the day that the Raleigh was founded, and that Thursday we will be having a ceremony, and hopefully there will be a road race. And we hope to have a concert on the 5th, and a parade, and a chowder fest, and a picture, the mural picture on the town common on Saturday, September 6th. And we will have a ceremony on the common also on Sunday, September 7th. We're hoping to expand our calendar during the summer but we'll give you more information as that becomes available.
Good, Joe. Any
But we
questions?
will be getting out to seek sponsors very shortly.
Sounds like you're doing a lot of progress there, Joe.
Thank you.
Any questions on the board? All right, Joe, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to old business number 2, and that's the FY15 budget town meeting update. Debbie is working with the departments on the budgets. She has started sending out budget packages to the departments. We will start reviewing budgets on February 24th, at the February 24th meeting. We are also working on capital expenditure plan. We're also still waiting for firm numbers on the increases to fixed costs. Debbie, anything else to add to that?
No, they just,
Guess where we are.
Started the work now, it's required behind the scenes to get these packages back to the selectmen and then onto the finance committee, so I'm just busy in the office trying to work on these.
This is always our busy time of year. We're going from now till town meeting. Okay. Okay, moving on to old business number 3, town administrator update. Debbie is updating the board on the following items. A general bid opening for the town hall annex repair and restoration project is scheduled for this Wednesday, February. Am I stealing your thunder, or
Pardon me?
should I let you?
Sure. So we have the general bid opening, the town hall annex repair and restoration project that's scheduled for this Wednesday at 11. As you know, we had the sub-bid deadline filing last Wednesday. So what we're going to hope to do is aggressively review those and get some type of recommendation for the contract award for the February 24th meeting, which is your next meeting after this evening, so that we can stay on track with this spring project. I'm continuing to work on the RFQ for the architectural services, that's for the drafting of plans and specifications for the elevator. So we're working on that and some of the other smaller projects. In addition to that, of course, you know that we've been working on a number of water department initiatives. And after the signing of the Penachek contract, that will now also have to work closely with Penachek, the water department, and their vendors to create that customer service database. So that's a fairly large scale setup. We're talking about an electronic database with the data from the water department's current vendor, CDS, I believe it is, that they're using to generate their bills. So there's a lot of work that's going to be done to transfer all that, set up a checking account or bank account. Treasurer's been working on. So we appreciate all her efforts. And then on the internal accounting work, we are transitioning this week with the treasurer collector's assistant collector administrative assistant. So she's going to be starting to work with the accountant's accountant this week, starting to get into the Peachtree Sage system to see where things stand, to start inputting it so that she can get a grasp on what the status is on that database. And I know you've seen some examples of what that software program can produce. So we had a sample that I provided the board on income statements and things like that. So those will be tied directly to the budget line, so there's no need to create secondary Excel spreadsheets for the budget. We can actually use the data in the categories that are in the Peachtree Sage system as it was created for. So with the assistant collector having a very strong financial background, including a master's in business administration and in high-level banking at an international banking company, she's got the perfect skill set for this work. So I have every confidence that this is going to be a smooth transition.
We're very lucky to have her on board.
Yeah. So those are a number of things that we're working on in addition to the normal things.
Any questions from the board? Thank you for the update, Deb. Okay. Okay, moving on to new business number 1. Review proposed zoning amendment submitted by Zoning Review Committee. Okay, gentlemen, take a look at this. This is from the the review committee. Bob, you on the review committee?
Yes.
Can you give us, kind of lead us through this?
Yeah, it's basically a breakdown of what we were trying to get done for this annual town meeting. And there are, I believe, 3 separate categories that we're going to use. And the most important one, of course, is the marijuana dispensary bylaw that we needed to put together. We had the moratorium last year.
Right.
And that'll be running out this June. So that is in here to be acted upon. Basically, I think what we're going to try to do is put it into the commercial district. Registered, make sure I get the right wording here.
But there's only so many that will be allowed in Essex County.
Yes, and there's already been 2 awarded. There's gonna be, I think, 35 in the state, and they've already awarded 20 of them.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure that we'll have a major issue with it, but it's definitely something we need to get into place to be able to meet the requirements of the law. So, that's where they're headed with that one. The other one is something that came up with fitness centers and indoor skating rinks and that type of thing. And I guess they had an applicant that wanted to do a baseball batting cage type business up in the industrial park on Forest Ridge. And lo and behold, it's not listed in the bylaw, in the zoning bylaws. So you really can't allow it because it's not listed. So what they're going to do is add that type of entertainment to the bylaw so that those places can operate.
Oh, okay.
And the third one is more or less a bookkeeping item, is the new floodplain district maps. We have to change our bylaw to conform with the federal numbering system now that they have for the maps. And if you look at the page here, you can see where the old numbers are crossed out and there's a new number added. So, and that'll be just changing that part of the bylaw so that those fall into compliance with the federal law. And that, at this point, is it.
Looks like it's just the last letter of the number.
Yeah, on that one, and there's a couple other little slight changes, there's different zones and water courses and things like that. Just some wording that needs to get changed for us to comply with the federal law.
All right, any questions from the board? Okay, Bob, thanks for that update. Okay, moving on. About another minute, and we'll go into our first
Do we have to
appointment.
approve that to go to the planning board, or?
Yeah,
Chairman, they're
do we-
looking for a vote of the board, whether you support these. I'd like to work with our planner, Kirk Baker, immediately, if the board does, to have a legal review done on this prior to their hearing. So in case there's any things that need to be changed, it's all set before they have the public hearing, which I think they're trying to do at the end of this month.
Any discussion from the board about this? They all look proper to you? Okay. With that, I have a motion from the board.
I'll make that motion and grant that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, move forward with that. Okay, it is now 7:15. Close up this folder. Move on to appointment folder. And with that, have a joint meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners. Oh, first, the citizen query is now over at 7:15. Okay, we have a joint meeting with the Board of Water Commissioners, and to sign the Penachek contract. A call for a motion to go into. Gentlemen, just move. Can I have move to the back? Sure. And then we'll have the Water Board of Commissioners up at the front. Thank you very much. Roy, how are you tonight? Okay. A call for for a motion to open the joint meeting between the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Water Commissioners by a roll call vote.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor with a roll call vote.
Jack Cook.
Aye, Joe Perry.
I, Robert Snow.
Hi, Robert Mary.
Hi, Dave Peterson.
Hi, Roy Ricker.
Hi, Tim Toomey. Hi, Stu Delzell.
Okay. Okay, we need to vote to authorize the signing of the Pennachuck Water Services Corporation contract. The contract will be effective February the 11th, 2014. We need to check Pennachuck, to get Pennachuck under the contract as soon as possible because they need to set up the customer account database. There is a significant amount of work to be done over the next 4 years.
Weeks.
4 weeks.
Weeks.
I'm sorry, next week, I'm sorry. So, with that, any discussion between the Board of Water Commissioners? Any thoughts? Okay. Could I have a motion,
I'll make that motion.
okay, to
Second.
authorize the signing of the contract? Do I have a second? All those in favor? Roll call vote.
Jack Cook.
Aye, Joe Perry.
I, Robert Snow.
Hi, Robert Mary.
Hi, Dave Peterson.
Hi, Roy Ricker.
Well, you fellows have to do it separate.
No,
Or should we do
It
it?
was a joint. I
Is it
think it was
joint?
a
Okay, sorry.
vote.
Hi, Roy Ricker.
Hi, Tim Toomey. Hi, Stu Delzell.
So we have to sign
So,
now?
Mr.
or-
Chairman, the Pennachuck Board of Directors had a meeting at 4:30 this afternoon. They've scanned in your copy. I'll have all board members sign this. There are 2 original documents that the Vice President Bernard Russo will be delivering to me this week. But for the meantime, we have the authorization to sign the scanned version, and I will then make arrangements
Okay.
to have the board members stop by to sign the original, so we'll have 2 original fully executed agreements.
Okay. I'll sign first. Bob?
I'll use this so they can sign on this. It's okay, sorry. When it's ready, I'll have this, come sign it. That's right.
Maybe while we're signing this, can the town administrator maybe give us some indication of the time frame here, so that people at home understand kind of what's going on, or what the tentative schedule is
Yes,
for implementation?
We're trying for an April billing, so we need to, create the database, get the bills set up in the template that the water board would be approve of. We've given them some direction on that, so there'll be an internal meeting at some point, I believe probably with the interim superintendent and the treasurer, to get some of the details worked out so that we can continue transitioning. They did come in last week. The treasurer exchanged a number of contact information. They know tie sales. They have relationships with a lot of the same vendors that the water department uses anyway for billing and meter purposes. So there's been a lot of also discussions on electronic paying and things like that. Once again, a lot of the same vendors that we use, they use for a number of their companies. So we need to stick to the schedule if we're going to work for that April billing. And what we'll do is probably at a meeting in March have Mr. Russo and come in during a joint meeting and sort of discuss the final timetable after we've met all our goals to get everything ready. So there'll be a number of in-house meetings on operational things to get everything set up internally, and then we'll have another joint meeting with Mr. Russo here to talk about it, to unveil it, to get the word out on what residents need to do to inquire about a bill, what they should look for in the mail, and things like that when they get their bills.
So pretty much we're talking in March. March will be the old billing system, and if all goes well,
April.
April will be, it'll be a kind of a smooth transition. It'll just be a different looking bill or whatever?
Will be a different look, and will be Penachuk. And so what we're trying to do is to make sure that everybody gets used to calling Penachuk. We have the ability to have calls transferred, so if somebody's on the phone with Penachuk and they actually need to discuss an issue with the water department directly on a non-billing matter, we'll have the ability to transfer the call from Penachuk to, 401 Central Street. So we're working on all those things right now, and it's a lot of, overwhelming to me, but the treasurer has a good grasp on how we do things now, and she's been working so closely with the water department's vendor, the current company that they use for their printing and mailing of bills, and she's familiar with the posting on it, so, and all the electronic ways people can pay today, so it should go smoothly. We're optimistic, and they were very well prepared. They had a list of questions, and they're already talking about, starting all the things they have to do for printing bills and setting up things with Unibank. So it's a lot. So we need to stick to this timetable. That's why we need this contract executed immediately, so we can jump into this starting tomorrow.
Just one other quick question. The meter reading will continue as it has been. In other words,
Yes.
where the water department maintains the meter reading
Yes.
capability and then transmits the information to Penachuk, and then they'll.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
there'll
the way
be
it's gonna work.
a system of Karen is working on, either like a file transfer system, some way that data is gonna be sent to them electronically so that the bills can be prepared. So that will continue.
Right, okay.
Well, Deb, I want to thank you for all the hard work you put in for this project, and the water commissioners. This is a
And the
great first
treasurer's
step.
staff,
And
and
treasurer's staff.
and Amy, and we've all, tried to work together as a team, and that's the key. If we all work together in a team environment, we can get these things done.
Again, thank you so much. It's been a lot of hard work.
We could not, excuse me, we could not have done this without Debbie and Amy and Karen and you gentlemen, the support from you gentlemen. Excuse me.
Well, it's been a long year. We've done a lot this year, and so we got a lot more to do. But
We're well on our way, Bob.
we're well on our way. You're right. So with that, I have a motion to adjourn the joint meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
A second. All those in favor with a roll call vote.
Jack Cook.
Aye, Joe Perry.
I vote Snow.
Hi, Robert Mary.
All right, Dave Peterson.
I wrote a record.
Hi, Tim Tomey. Hi, Stu Delzo.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in tonight. All right? Stu.
Thank you once again.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Stu.
Right,
Tim, thank you.
Tim?
All right. We'll get about 5 minutes before our next meeting. The next point. Okay, go to. Okay, review the application from Institution for Savings for a special permit and site plan. Okay, gentlemen, you look over from the planning board. There's new business number 2. This is the property located at 312 Haverhill Street. And they are
They're going to expand the parking lot, and they're actually putting an addition over the drive-through
oh, okay.
area
All right.
there, the drive-through window. They're adding an office on the second level.
The Institution for Savings, they really do a good job, and they put a package together.
Yep.
I remember I was on the planning board, they came in with, when they first put that building, brought it forward that they were gonna put it there, and it was one of the best packages I've ever seen put together
Wow.
in a presentation before the planning board.
Yeah.
So, everything seems to be here. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, other than that, it looks like it's going to be a good project.
Yeah, they do excellent work. I can't say enough about them. They're a good corporate leader within the community. So, With that, it's no vote on this, just a review
No,
of
they're
the...
soliciting comments from all the town departments, so you're on their distribution list. We did put a package in your folders about a week and a half ago. I know it's a pretty thorough filing, so if you had time to review it at home, if you had any ideas, but I think it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, straightforward.
Very, very straightforward, very well done.
Well, that's good. All right. We have 3 minutes. Okay, review request for a price quote specification for Parks and Recreation Department lawn maintenance. Recreation Committee has updated the request for a price quote specifications for lawn maintenance. We've updated some of the sections. If the board has any questions, please contact Debbie. The contract is for 1 year with the option to extend for 2 additional years on a year-by-year basis. This way the town will have the ability to not renew if the town is not satisfied with the quality of the vendor's work. The board needs to authorize the release of the request for price quote upon final review by Debbie and the staff. Any questions from the board? Discussion?
Looks like a standard quote.
This is the request for a price quote.
The estimated value of this contract is under $25,000. It's issued as a request for price quote. There are a number of vendors that asked to be on the list that the rec committee has. This is a 1-year contract with the option to continue for 2 additional years on a year-by-year basis. So what we did was we asked for prices to be given for each of the 3 years. And with a contract award stipulated as the responsible quoter offering the lowest overall price for years 1, 2, and 3 together. So it was the sum total will be the way that the submittals will be evaluated.
Will we need to vote on this then?
If there's a consensus with them, it's still in draft form. We
Okay.
need to do some internal work, but if the board would take a vote to support the release of this pending any of our changes, I don't think there's gonna be anything substantial unless the board has something substantial they'd like to make this
Any
evening.
discussion from the board?
That's on the town has the option to renew.
Correct.
The town will evaluate the services at the 1 year and could renew for an additional.
Yes, so we will have the ability to have the 3 years if we so choose.
So,
I'll give you a motion.
have a motion. Any discussion first?
Authorize release.
No discussion. Have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we have 1 more minute. Has everybody read over the meeting minutes for February the 3rd, 2014? Any comments on them? You all read them?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as printed for February 3rd.
All right, Jack, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it is now 7:30. And with that, we have an appointment with Highway Surveyor Ron Keith and Norman Brown from Bayside Engineering to discuss Central Street project. State funds for Havel Street project and the federal TIPS funded projects. So with that, Ron, can you come forward? And Mr. Brown? We reserve.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say before that appointment that Highway Surveyor Ron Keefe has been attending the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission Highway Department meetings on a regular basis, so that's how this meeting was sort of initiated from some of the ideas that were discussed at these meetings. And he's been learning and doing a lot of research on how the town can be eligible for some of the state and federal funding programs for, large-scale road projects, which we do foresee a number of areas in the town that really we need to start planning for. So I just want to thank Ron for doing that. And I know Mr. Brown has been somebody that's is very knowledgeable on that. So that's how this meeting was initiated. And additionally, Representative Hill has been in contact with the town to let us know that he's gonna be inserting something into the state budget, and I'll let Mr. Keefe extrapolate further on that. But there's potentially some funding we can get out of the state budget for Haverhill Street.
Yes.
Okay.
And I serve, as most people know, I serve on the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, and I know you've been working diligently with Tony Cormack, who is the TIP advisor within, I forget his exact title, but everything is cleared through Tony, and Tony does a wonderful job, and I know he's worked closely with you. So Ron, thank you for doing that. So with that, Ron, I'm going to turn it over to you and to fill us in what you've been doing.
Well, it started with Haverhill Street. If you notice, the west side is starting to fall apart, and the company that was hired to do that some years ago was Rhodes. And I believe Rhodes went belly up shortly right after they did that. And what we have been finding, and the reason why it's come to the attention to get it done quicker, is when we started repairing some of the manholes, we've noticed that they didn't use concrete, they just shimmed them and hot topped. And we noticed that it's falling apart. So, in going to some of these Merrimack Valley meetings and meeting with other superintendents and DPW directors, I asked them how to get money. I says, you know, with the change of Chapter 90, if you don't spend it in 5, you lose it. So either you're forced to buy equipment or do littler roads. You will never be able to save the $5-6 million that it will take to pave 133. So they said apply for tip money. And it's the first I ever heard of it, so I started asking around, and every time I asked someone, Norm Brown's name came up. In a good way, don't worry. And starting to get into the state level, I asked people in the state level, and Norm's name still came up. So Peter Durkee in Georgetown uses Norm a lot, so he got me in contact with Norm, and he came down and he explained it to me. And gave a call to District 4. Within a couple of days, he had someone out from, I've never seen someone get someone out from District 4 that quick. And we took a look at 133, and you have to meet, I believe it was 15 criterias to be able to get tip money. 133 doesn't. So, while we're sitting there talking, he says, are there any other roads? And I said, no. I says, maybe Central Street. We just crack sealed it. I says, but that's falling apart. So the guy, we took a ride up, drove up and down Central Street. He says, well, to get tip money for this, we'd have to meet some of the criteria. First of all, the Merrimack Planning Board. You have to, because some of the people that vote on this go to this. So if you're not showing up, don't ask for nothing. You know, they don't want to give you something. He says, will you guys be willing to extend the sidewalk? First, make it wider. The ramps. For the handicap. And how do you feel about going almost the full length of Central Street with sidewalk? And a lot of people have been asking for sidewalks. And the other thing was a bike lane, putting a bike lane in. So we, after looking at Central, we even decided to extend it up Church because, so some of the 15 criteria is a school in the area. We have the Council on Aging.
Yep.
We'll be installing a bike lane, extending the sidewalk and making it wider, and like I said, proper ramps. So he felt that that road would qualify for tip money. So after talking with Norm, in doing some investigating to other companies, I decided to go with Norm and his company. And I believe you just got money for part of 133 in Bloxford?
Yes, yeah, and that's in 2 phases, but that's from West Bloxford Village to the North Andover town line. So got that project on the tip.
So why don't you take over?
Yeah, we have had quite a bit of success getting these tip projects approved. We did get Groveland significant money. That's 2 phases over in Groveland, Route 97. Peter Durkee in Georgetown. We've done quite a bit of work for him, both on the town level, and they already had Route 97 from West Main Street, they call it, from the square up to the Groveland line at the 25% design phase, but it was 15 years ago, and the state didn't like what they were doing. So we're picking that up for them as well. as far as funding, we've gotten other cities and towns funding throughout the state. Lunenburg, Avon, Stoughton, and recently we did get a Mass Works grant for the town of Littleton. You know, there's a lot involved with that, you know, businesses and job creation and this and that. But yeah, the criteria that Ron was speaking about, they have a list, and I have a copy here if you folks would like it, or the couple, and these projects are very competitive, and so we have to give good reason enough to get it over the top compared to other cities and towns. And so, I mean, like Route 133 was done in the mid-90s. It's already wide enough to accommodate bicycles. So, you know, like he said, well, it might just be a sidewalk project, but that really doesn't get us above the other ones. So something like Central Street would be, you know, it's on the map that allows them to fund that roadway. A lot of local ones they aren't, but that particular one is. And you know, if you can increase mobility is what they talk about. Add bike lanes, add sidewalks, and like Ron said, you know, schools. There's other criteria too that you wouldn't meet, maybe, but maybe, I don't know. Is there a bus stop at West Central in down here, Raleigh? Central meets 1A or anything like that. All those things are very helpful to get your project over the top. So, and what we do is, I gave Ron a contract, and what we typically do is we'll go out and get you the funding, you know, for nothing, and then if we get that approved, then we negotiate with you a contract, and it's worked well in other towns. And what's involved in getting the funding is, I used to work at Mass Highway, so I know the project development engineer. Frank Szynski is the one who Ron just spoke about. And so, yes, he gladly came out, and we looked at this project. But what's involved is that you start out with a project need form, and it's quite comprehensive, a bunch of questions and whatnot, and there'd be pictures taken, and you try and seed in enough information to make this project worthy in their eyes. And we do an initial cost estimate, you know, the length of road and, you know, sidewalks and pavement widths and whatnot, and then submit that. And then that would go to both Mass Highway, the Project Review Committee, and Merrimack Valley Planning. And after that, if we get a positive response from the state that this is a worthy project, then it's all right, now you want to take it to the project information stage, or the project information form. And we'd have to conduct some public, not hearings, public meetings, get the public's input on what they want to see for this project, because after all, it is your project, you know. And then we'd have to get a more comprehensive estimate together and whatnot, and then resubmit that. And I gotta tell you, this whole project takes, the process just to get it approved could take up to about a year, you know. The project review committee meets quarterly, so you might not hit that just right. You know, you gotta have 6 weeks advance notice for your public meetings. So there's quite a bit to it, but and I guess the last meeting I was at in Boxford, just so you know, Tony Kamornik was there in the audience when we were initiating that project, and he told, because there was quite a discourse back and forth about some of these sidewalks and whatnot, but he told the people there that this process takes 7 to 8 years to have this start. So, you know, they've already got it programmed out 4 or 5 years. Every bit of anticipating funding is spent. If a project, you know, some fall back, some move up because they haven't completed changes. So I guess hopefully that helps explain what we would do.
You know, I can stand behind your words when it says it takes 7 or 8 years, because when I first went on the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, we were just beginning to talk about the Whittier Bridge. And we discussed tonight before everybody came in, they're just putting the north abutment in
Yeah.
You know, and it takes a long time. It goes back and forth with votes from Merrimack Valley, and, you know, almost every month we go through that tip, and Tony is wonderful when he goes through the whole schedule of all the surrounding towns, and you know, Whittier Bridge took a long time, and they have just some feedback. If that wasn't addressed now, if it was addressed in 2029, it would have cost us double the price it's going to cost us.
Yeah.
So, you know, address these items now instead of letting them deteriorate. Like, well, that would be great for Central Street, because that's our east-west thoroughfare. And when you have two of them, really, basically.
Actually, I think it's the second most busiest road in Raleigh, outside of 133.
Yeah.
But we would never have $5-6 million, even in 7 years, trying to save
Right.
Chapter 90.
Right.
And his fee would actually be paid out of Chapter 90.
Mhm.
So there's no, increase in, the taxpayer to pay out. In regards to 133, Amy called me a few weeks back and informed me that Representative Hill called asking about any roads on the transportation bill. So I talked to him for a little bit, and I explained to him that 133 is probably one of the busiest roads, especially with the cutover to get to Gloucester, and that it wasn't going to be covered on the tip, and that I couldn't afford to pay for it out of Chapter 90.
Mhm.
And I says, it's looking like within 5 to 6 years that the road will need to be torn up. And he called me back a week later and informed me that they got it on the transportation bill, and that him and I would be meeting with Senator Tarr to discuss it. So hopefully that moves forward too. But that they're looking at $5 to $6 million as well for that. So $11 to $12 million in two projects that are just starting, hopefully to take off and start the footwork.
It's a good first step here.
And that doesn't meet the criteria for our tips.
No, it's maxed out in every way you can go.
Wow.
Yeah, when they redid the road, they went back to the property lines.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah, they moved all the poles back,
Yeah.
and
We moved everything back, and they wanted to put in a sidewalk.
Right.
And I said, well, you're already back to the property lines. So in that case, every guy that we need up there on that street, because the poles are getting moved, will need an easement
Yep.
and have to negotiate with the landowners. So the state wisely changed their
yeah.
thoughts and put everything back right to the property lines, so we could get the poles in.
That was what, 96?
Yeah, I was on the board when we did all the preliminary work for that, and basically, because people were hollering for sidewalks at that time, and it was a matter of coming in and getting easements, and the state just said, no, this is what we're gonna give you.
Yeah.
And in fact, I
It
think we had a
Mhm.
mass highway guy living up on 133 at the time, which a little bit of horsepower, but it's always been frustrating in the years I've been around, and most of us have been around, that we see these other towns get highway construction money and, literally rebuild roads with sidewalks and so on and so forth, and we've always kind of sat here and not had much luck at getting anything, so it's great to see that that Ron has gone out and
I
taking a
think
look at this, and,
Taking the
if we
initiative,
can
that's
get Central
nice.
Street done in tips, that would be fantastic, and that road is good enough, so right now, it'll last until if we can get the tips money. 133 is horrendous, as we all know. Anybody that drives that road, that's going down real fast. So if we can be of any assistance, Ron, with Senator Tarr or Representative Hill, I think that's something that all the townspeople, we really need to get behind, and if we can get some special highway funding, we desperately need that for that road, and then move ahead with the tips and some other part. Just get into the state and the highway that knows that Raleigh is actually here. It's
I think
difficult to get into that.
one of the biggest things that either myself or whoever runs for the position has to know is you have to attend these meetings. You have to reach out to, other superintendents in other towns. You have to find out what they're doing. It isn't just a come in, punch in, go home.
Right.
I remember Deb tried calling one of my 3 phones, and by the time, I think she ended up calling my house phone. I was in the pool. I said, where's my kid? She goes, oh, you have no personal time anymore. Or something along that line. It was during the summer.
Well, I think the job and one reason why we support on the warrant and to make it an appointed position is the board realizes that it's no longer, the highway surveyor is no longer a guy that can plow and fill potholes and do those kinds of things. It's really become a professional job. And the way you get things done is dealing on a professional level with Merrimack Valley Planning, the State Highway, and, you know, firms that go out and do this for a living. And if we don't get up with it, we're going to be at the bottom of the pile forever. I think that's one reason why I'll use this little opportunity to push the idea that an appointed highway surveyor with qualifications is really critical to the future road needs. And we have a lot of other projects, as you well know, Ron. The bridge up there at Glen Street, for instance, is horrendous, dangerous, and it's rapidly falling apart. We've got other roads in town that, you know, we really are in dire need over the next 10, 20 years of some major highway project construction. That anything we can do to.
One of Norm Brown thing is to go out and check bridges too and culverts. I think Glen Street is a culvert, isn't it? More. We always call it a bridge. Even I call it a bridge. It's the Jewel Mill Bridge.
Even the plans say bridge.
Yeah.
We ran into that when we rebuilt the 3 washed out bridges.
Yeah.
They were bridge, but whatever. When the state came in and we got that federal money, I mean those 3 bridges are. I still admire them when I drive over them because they really did a fantastic job, and they'll be there in great condition long after we're all gone. So I mean, it's really time to get in and start doing these things correctly, and the taxpayers and the citizens of Raleigh they deserve good roads. And if we're fighting with everybody else, if other towns are getting it and we're sitting back and not taking anything, we're foolish. And this is a great way to start the process.
The Glen Street Bridge really needs to be addressed.
Actually, Norm did go up and inspect that.
Well, I went down underneath it. I have structural guys who do that all the time. I'm not one of them, but we looked at some of the things, and my bridge guy pulled up, the old rating reports and whatnot, and because it's not a 20-foot span, it doesn't classify under one category as a bridge. But I think Mass Highway still makes you inspect everything over 10 feet or something. But, we talked about maybe coming out and doing an inspection and rating on the thing, and so you have a better idea, and maybe there's a repair plan that could be, for shorter money, some of the spalling concrete doesn't look wonderful, but maybe it is sound in there. There's a travel width problem, it seems, though, and it looks like maybe the barrier wall is failing. You've got some Jersey barriers out there. We also talked about perhaps trying to include this with the Central Street project across the way. I mean, we can get the folks back up. No guarantees, but like the state won't participate with a culvert project by itself or a bridge. They have their own priorities. But if there's one is included in a roadway project, that's one way of getting it done.
So it's probably an avenue to take at this time, considering it takes 6 to 7 years, is to add that, widen it, maybe straighten out that corner a little bit,
really
but
needs
keep
to
it historical looking to go with that, because that is one of the most
Well,
historical
in
areas.
the same district, yes,
Yeah.
Glen Mills district.
I was surprised during the Mother's Day storm that it held up the way it did.
I would like to, and Stewie mentioned it, Amy and Debbie and Doreen, because if it wasn't for Deb make me go to these Merrimack Valley meetings, I wouldn't have learned. I didn't even know about them. Scott would never, I don't think Scott ever went, but Deb says you have to go, and it started with stormwater, learning about stormwater.
This is one thing we haven't touched base on, but a lot of the town doesn't have storm drains, so is Newberry Road. They're old country roads that have just been repaved over, but part of the component of some of this road capital infrastructure that we're gonna need to do is address the drainage, because the federal requirements are gonna come down. I was at Boston at an MMA meeting, had a conversation with somebody from the EPA. I said, well, we haven't heard anything, is hoping that this isn't really gonna happen, but the second permit will be issued, and it's going to be a shock for municipalities, because it's an unfunded mandate. So we need to start looking at when we're talking about a road, the drainage is part of that, because the federal requirements are going to be really stringent. So things have to be installed in the storm drain that sort of filter out things, and then those drains have to be maintained on a regular basis, and it'll be the town's responsibility to do that. And to have all those reporting requirements, they're gonna have to be maintained out of the highway department. You know, so we have the conservation agent kind of overseeing a lot of these things, but some of this stuff is actually gonna have to be done by the highway department.
And this
But
is
this is new things that will be installed and then maintained. I don't really know how to
This is something that's throwing a real chill at any municipality. Is the idea is that this is going to be an unfunded mandate from the EPA. So
Well, again, as an example on that is Pat and I, and Pat's a big help, and a lot of this too couldn't have been done without Pat, and he's been spearheading the whole stormwater thing. We just did research the other day, and what did we figure out? The basins would go from $4,900 to $22,000. That's just basins. That doesn't even get into what would have to do just to one town building to bring it up to what their standards are.
before if you got Pat Snow up the back, or highway foreman, and Pat, thank you for coming in tonight.
But a lot of kudos goes to the crew in this office, and to you guys for allowing me to go forward and always being there to both Bobs, pick up the phone. I've worked with Mr. Perry at the end of Stack Yard, and Jack's always been instrumental, and anytime I'd have a question, he'd always swing by the shop and give me direction. And Mr. Peterson, and especially his wife, anytime I had a question or something, she was there to help me. So there's a great family feeling in this town to help out the residents and to be there for one another. But I think we should move forward with Nolan Brown and his company, and start gearing up for this long road.
Mr. Chairman, can I just ask a question on the federal tip money? So is there a component that we would have to have matching funds to get some of the federal money? Obviously the Chapter 90 just seems really sketchy on the way that we get it, and then the state changes the amounts and the portion that, but would we have to put money up front, or?
You're responsible to pay for the design,
Okay.
and then the state or the federal money pays for the construction.
Mhm.
You're also responsible for any right-of-way takings.
Okay.
You know, if we do corner roundings, generally that's where it comes in. And a lot of times we've been instrumental in helping cities and towns convince the citizens to donate this as a good gesture. You know, telling them that, well, you're going to take 32 square feet or something, and it's like, oh, 32. Well, it's a sheet of plywood. You know,
Right.
things like that, so you can put it in perspective.
Okay.
And then if the town wanted to do something, they do have non-participating items, but not too many. But water and sewer, they won't participate.
Okay.
However, if you were to run a new water line down there, you paid for the per linear foot of piping, but all the traffic police details and the patching and the roadway and the dust control, that all kind of gets rolled into the main contract itself. So that's what you'd be responsible for.
And then I know we, as Mr. Peterson referred to, we had 3 bridges that we received federal funding for through FEMA.
Yeah.
And we ran that project out of this office, and I know from firsthand experience, I mean, there was a lot of record keeping and accountability on every single invoice from engineering and construction. It was a huge undertaking. How does that work? Would we get federal money into our system and then apply that and copy certain agency?
No. Like I said, you just pay, hopefully, my invoices.
Yeah.
And when the project is all done, Mass Highway administers the construction.
Okay.
So they'd have a resident engineer out there, and he would be looking for all the certified payrolls and
Okay.
compliance paperwork. So you wouldn't have anything to do. You might retain me to make sure you're getting a
Okay.
good product, especially around these catch basins and manholes that didn't come out so well.
Okay.
Well, I think too, you mentioned selling to the public. When we did the bridges, we did a major selling project
Yep.
to get
The
the
upfront
town
money.
had to go up front, borrow the money, and then apply for reimbursement. There was a lot of question about whether, well, we're gonna get reimbursed, how much we're gonna get reimbursed. And the whole thing went quite well in the end. And we actually managed to do it without going for an override.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We funded it, and I think it's the same thing here. I think if we put together a good plan, and we need to come up with some funding, I think the public will support us as long as they see a product that there is going to pay off in terms of good highway, good road construction and maintenance. So that I think it's the planning we put into this and the work we put in, and your firm comes aboard to sell it to the public. I think it's doable, because people go up and down these roads every day, and they're the ones that suffer with the potholes and the drains falling in, and the ruts and so on and so forth. So
Well, every time I go over those culvert bridges, I thank you, Dave, because you spent a lot of time on that project.
Yeah, we did.
And you too did.
it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, and it's a combined effort by everybody here. And I know at that time, the town administrator put in,
Yes.
I mean, hundreds of hours, literally, with some volunteer help from citizens in
Mhm.
terms of putting specs together and stuff. So if we can get some professional work done at this point, and we follow up with whatever we have to do, it certainly makes a difference. And it's a team effort by everybody, from the highway to the selectmen to, conservation gets involved with runoff. I mean, it's the public doesn't realize how comprehensive these projects. That's why they're so time consuming, because everybody has input. But to get this thing started now and put together a good plan, I think is going to pay off for us, and
It's a
it's
key.
long overdue.
It's the
That,
key.
that particular project, that cut the town in half for what, 3 years?
Yeah.
Almost
Yeah.
3 years.
Was
our
that
town-
Weathersfield Road?
Yeah, Weathersfield.
I remember that.
Yeah, that
Dodge,
was,
Dodge.
it was, the people who lived through that, it was, trying to get around the town was almost next to impossible because of those bridges being on.
And the great thing too is we won't be paying the full amount, right? It's in stages, which will still allow me to fix certain roads. And the one important road is Christopher. Is to get that done this year,
Mhm.
hopefully.
That road is brutal.
Every manhole's
I
full.
go over there with a school bus, and I'm telling you,
Fully loaded
I don't
sand
know how
is
the
not
school
fun
bus
either.
doesn't fall apart.
Yeah, truck with the sander and plowing.
Yeah, I mean, that road, I don't know how they built that underneath there, but it is unbelievable. So anything we can do there, absolutely. There's a number of roads like that too, but I mean, a lot of them have been squared away, but that Christopher.
I think
is
Christopher and right around Harrison Circle to Dobson Line on Newbury. I'd like to do a portion of Newbury, at
Yeah,
least
it's
get
fine.
started, where we have the drainage issue,
Mhm.
grade it so the water gets to the drains properly. But at least do a portion. Newbury's gonna be one of those roads where I do it in increment. It's a very long road. And when I do them, I wanna make sure, well, whoever does them, wanna make sure that road is done right, and there is a drainage issue. I mean, no one important lives up there, but I just,
Don't stop.
but
Yes.
Just one follow-up item. I know I had a conversation with, Selectman Perry and I believe Selectman Murray last week. We were talking about the water mains and looking forward in the water department. I'm not sure, what their plans are, but I haven't heard anything ever come out of the water department. But any plans to replace water mains? I think there's some question about how old they are, and I don't know if that would be a requirement on that first form that would need to be filled out. If there's any plan for the water department to undertake a water
Yes.
main project, I think we need to also look at that piece. We certainly don't want to invest in a new road and then find out in 5 or 6 years that these are original water mains that need to be replaced.
And
I
some of
haven't
them
seen
are.
a plan yet.
Yeah.
The Route 1A side of Central Street is the original water system put back in 1948. So it's not old, but it's starting to get there, and it's all cast iron.
and so we lost a chunk of 133.
Jack, that's the Central Street run, right? For the water, you run over the water department for years, water. That's all original pipe, right, as Bob said?
Yeah,
Central
it
Street.
started Main Street in 48,
Yeah.
then they phased it out when,
Well, they went down to Cross Street and then down around that way, and then
Right.
eventually it worked its way out to Route 1 and down
Yep.
that way, and that was later on. But I'm sure they've got records that tell you what they've got in there for piping. I know a lot of it in later years was transite,
Yeah.
which in the
Oh,
industry is called paper pipe, so. And we had the same issue on Havel Street, particularly up by Leslie Road, where they had a main up there hit and then repaired and then broke, and then They had all kinds of problems with it when they were doing Havel Street. In a former life, I was involved with the Havel Street project. And
You were telling me.
there's an awful lot of paperwork that goes into a project like that. We had to move utilities, and the state paid for it. But at the end, there's typically an audit that the state will come back with you. If they see something that doesn't look out, that looks out of line, or if you go over the budget. So I knew that was out there and was probably gonna happen, so we kept track of every nut, bolt, and washer, every piece of equipment that we used out there, and filled out the form at the end of the project and sent it in, and never got an audit.
Yeah.
And the fact that I left $5,000 on the table might have helped. I didn't get greedy.
Some do,
I know, and you get caught.
hence the
You
audit,
can
right?
get caught, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So what do you need from us, Ronnie? Do we need to make a,
I think there needs to be a vote of support from the Board of Selectmen for Ron to engage in services of Bayside Engineering.
So move.
I'll second it.
I have a motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ron,
Deb.
thank you. I
Amy.
know you've had a tough year this year, filling in after Scott's passing.
Actually, I think today's the anniversary
Is it
of his
really?
leaving office.
Yeah, it's, well, you've had a lot thrown in your plate, in the past year. You've done a good job. So,
Thank you.
Pray for no more snow.
yes.
I don't think that'll do much good.
How's the salt holding up, Ron?
It's gone.
I can officially tell you we're in better shape than most towns.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
good.
We
Norm, thank you
appreciate
for
that
coming
very
in
much.
tonight.
Nice
Appreciate
meeting you
it.
folks.
Nice
Okay.
Look
meeting
forward to
you.
working with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Snow, always good to see you.
See you too.
Somebody want some exciting reading?
Ron, thanks. Good
I'll
job.
take it.
Ron?
Absolutely.
Don't shake my hand, I gotta say.
I drive a school bus, don't worry. I face it.
All right.
I face it all. I face it all day long. Believe me. I do all right. Thank you very much. Good luck. Thank you.
You sure? I got a cold.
Oh, all right,
I
it's
just
just an
wanna-
elbow thing.
You
How's the
sure?
Bruce doing?
My father?
Yeah.
He's doing well.
Florida?
Tomorrow. Heading tomorrow. Yeah. How do you know him?
I've known him for years.
Oh, yeah.
When he was selectman.
Yeah, well, that was in
It's on the
72, I think.
He's off the budget committee now, right?
Yeah, he'll never give up the registration checklist
Yeah.
stuff, though. Make sure people register the
Tell him,
right party.
tell him I said hi.
I will.
Thanks for the presentation. Hope you
Thank
feel
you.
better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that you, folks? Only that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, this guy here, that was his stuff. He was state engineer.
Oh,
Mass. Father runs Brown's Lobster down.
Oh, yeah,
East side.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, that's,
that was very informative.
that's something we really need to start working on. No,
This
it's
guy's good though. He's
invaluable.
real.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, we have, okay, announcements. The town has the following vacancies. Conservation Commission has 1 seat. Finance Committee has 1 seat. Fence viewer, 2 positions. Wood, lumber, and bark inspector position. Zoning Board of Appeals has 2 open seats. For more information on these positions, please contact the Selectmen's Office, 948-2372. Again, the battery recycling box is right out here in the hallway and also at the library. If you have any D or C batteries, throw them in a plastic bag. They're expended, take them, and it's a good way, again, I've always said about being green, come down and say them up over a couple of weeks, then drop them off here. I'm always seeing Frank come in and picking up the, emptying the box out there. Riley Food Pantry is in need of donations. The Riley Food Pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. The last thing that we're looking for was ketchup, mustard, relish, and those kind of items. Town meeting will be held on Monday, May the 5th, 2014. So mark that on your calendars.
And we will not be in session.
Next week will not because of President's Day, or we used to remember George Washington's birthday. So, right. Last thing on the agenda is I need a motion to go into executive session. call for a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing strategies with respect to litigation and union contract negotiations, because an open session may have detrimental effect
Hey, Larry.
on litigation, good night, Larry, and negotiating positions of the town, and not to return to open session. I ask for a member of the board to
I'll
give me.
make that motion.
And Jack has made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor with a roll call vote?
Jack Cook.
Aye, Joe Perry.
Aye, Robert Snow.
I vote Mary.
All right, Dave Peterson.
And with that, good night, everyone, and we will see you in 2 weeks, because the President's Day is holiday next week. Enjoy yourself. See you in 2 weeks.